You wouldn't believe this happened to all of my duplicants. Oh yes, there you go. Now that's a title. Goal for this video. Once again, about the exact same goal that we've had for the last 3 episodes. However, there was one comment that was really helpful here, and that is if we take the metal refineries and we use the utility, the little weld-on plate to the back, we can connect that to the thermoelectric generator here, which is currently the squiggly version, using the metal transfer plate. So we actually don't have to worry about the gas environment. Haha, direct cooling. The other thing that we're doing here is we're getting rid of all of this stuff. Too much plinko going on here, too inefficient. We can dig new stuff with the plinko tools, but we can't leave it around here because when we go to pick up sand, that's causing an issue. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get this oil well up and running because I need more petroleum. You can see that we absolutely have 0 right now, which means we don't have plastic, which means my wallpaper is not the correct color. So we gotta do it for the wallpaper. All right, so the liquid that I was going to bring into this loop, I was going to bring in polluted water last time. Looks as if I still have some more pipes to correct. Although I'm kind of feeling like I want to use petroleum. I don't know, I suppose that doesn't really matter because the temperature that it's going to increase is just, it's going to change depending on what you run through there. So I don't think it really matters. The thing about the thermoelectric generators is that they can operate at a much lower temperature than steam turbines. So it doesn't make as much sense to use petroleum in order to cool down stuff that's connected to a thermoelectric generator. Does that make sense? And I need to stop this. It's destroying my poor Atmosuit docks. Too much polluted oxygen. Okay, we need a gas filter. There you go. Just like so. And then the polluted oxygen, where are you gonna go? Here, go up there and get clean. Ooh, you know what? I do have all the materials I need now for a high pressure gas wall vent. That's an interesting thing. Vent that straight into a deodorizer. Clear out some of that stuff. We don't need all of that, just hanging around. Trying to get rid of some of this stuff, kind of boring, but whatever. It's gotta happen. Some of it's still useful to use, like this right over here. That's okay, because you can kind of get up into that area. All right, how are we doing on liquids? This should be sweep only now. Set to priority level 9. Same sort of thing should be here, sweep only. So this way we only sweep up the liquids if we say to sweep them up. Otherwise, not worried about it. Where's my utility? Oh no! Ransom! You finally succumbed to old age. Alright, let's see if this works now. This should be patched. It's gonna see if things happen here. It's either this or we leave them laying on the ground. It's one or the other. Man, that takes a long time. Come on, Cork. You got this, bud. Alright, here we go. Cork's, nope, never mind. There we go. Dun 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 dun. It worked! Yes! I mean, oh, I'm so sorry. These are tears of happiness for me, though. Now for just a couple of drains. If you have a dupe that has stressed, like they cry because they're stressed. If you have a slight bit of water on the ground, it'll actually absorb their tears. There's like this, they have to be crying while in a puddle for it to work, but it does actually work. So I'm kind of wondering if the same thing is possible with a tasteful memorial. I'm not seeing anything happen here. I don't think these tears register. It's a good experiment though. All right, so now to fuel up our line of coolant over here. Oh, and we might be able to adjust the loop a little bit since we're going to use something a little bit different. What we're using is the thermal interface plates. Yes, those beautiful things. We're going to build up 3 of these over here, thermoelectric coolers. Okay, I guess we need more iron. We used to, I guess our iron keeps going up. I think this is a metal-rich map, in case I remember correctly. We sure do have a lot of metal. What we need is more duplicants. I don't remember what our current duplicant loadout looks like, but we do need to have dupes that can do what we want them to do. So we've got one over here. Travaldo looks pretty good. Increased science, always good. Kind of a good all-arounder dupe. Archcaliber, welcome to the base. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. That brings us up to 12 duplicants again. We've got room for 1 more right now, but we do need to keep expanding this. I have a strategy of about 24 duplicants. If we have 24 duplicants, then we should be able to have somebody with every job twice. You can see how imbalanced everything is at the moment. We've got 2 here, 5 there, 2 there, 3, 1, 3. So we need a place for these dupes to kind of reskill themselves. A training center. That means we need a new shape. All right, here we go. J. All right, so now we will see the standardized color for J. And where to put this duplicate training center. Right there's a good spot. Much better than being over a volcano. And it's right nearby the park. Okay, good deal. There now needs to be like a college room or something where you could go and become educated, or where you have like a bonus to learning things. That would be a fun room, wouldn't it? All right, stations. Inside of here, we're going to have the skill scrubber. So get rid of your old skills. What do we got? Pod, maybe put the pod right there. And then we need a way to kind of do work in order to train yourself up. So for that, I think the best way to do that is to actually just have a manual generator. So one of these. And I don't have my giant battery right now. However, there's probably a good way to do this. If we generate enough power here and then dump that out. All right, so let's fuel up this thing. See if we can get this metal running a little faster here. We need to just get this water down to this loop. So we're going to use the liquid bridges to do so. Just like this. Because right now, even with this over here, like my main restriction is the amount of, or my lack of material. I don't have enough refined material. Oh no, everybody's making a mess again. What in the world? Oh, darn it. Research stopped. Empty? Yeah, I'm no longer bottling down here, so that caused the issue. We're getting closer. All right, thermal interface plate. That's going to go right there, and eventually right down there. That should connect all of that, allowing it to cool down directly. Yeah, see, the problem right now is I'm getting bored with not making enough progress, so I keep adding more projects. I kind of just need to stop and let them actually do what they need to do, which is boring, but whatever. How are we doing on oxygen? Ooh, not quite as much as we had before. Maybe I'll leave one of these open. Let's see what happens. Hey, there we go. The game knew I needed iron just to keep things moving along. Thank you so much for that. Ooh, and we can see the coolant is now flowing in. This is good, which means I can now say, let's go ahead and make some iron down here. Although it does need to be connected to the power, which I have built and deconstructed a few times by now. So let's go ahead and plug that in. That'll probably have to change over to heavy watt wires, and I'll have to rewire a lot of this stuff. But right now I just need iron. I don't really need the rest of it. I don't really have a lot of metals in this map. So far, it's pretty much iron. The gold amalgam I've scraped off of the snakes, although there is a little bit over here that I can get to, so I do have gold. Copper was found, where was copper found? Whoa. Iron. I have no idea where copper was found. This is copper ore, though. I should have a fair amount of aluminum, and I should be able to work with that. Matter of fact, this would be a good thing to kind of rebuild as aluminum. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that must have been it. I must have gotten copper from deconstructing the point of interest things, like this. Iron ore or something like that. That was probably it. Oh, and here's my solution to the water overflow. So if I have too much water here, then I can take that water and we can put it into the crude oil. Therefore, I don't have an issue with that anymore. Aha! Okay, we should have what we need here to seal this room up, and we can get the crude oil up and running finally. Although, I do need to go up here and still deconstruct those tiles, and we need a gas unit up there. Gas wall pump. Hey, look at Dodo go. Perfect. All right, so that is running liquid. Excellent, just like this. And I'm saying it can come back if it is below, what should I say, 30 degrees Celsius. Let's take a look at this. This on iron will heat it up by 30 degrees, so it should output at about 60. Steel is kind of hot, so yeah, that'll be all right. Close to steam, but not quite. And the rest of this is not an issue. So as long as the water is below 30 degrees Celsius, we can bring it back in here. Otherwise, it's just going to keep running around and around. So long as the loop is complete, dupes. Ah, come on. All right, so let's take a look at how this is running here. We are now outputting water that's a little bit hotter, and that is flowing in over here, stopping this from running, which I guess is okay, because then it starts to cycle again. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. See, this is where that high flow system would work so much better. So the temperatures inside of this tank are currently at 37 degrees Celsius. How quickly is it dropping? Oof, not very fast. Actually, that's dropping really slow. Really, really slow. Well, I'm gonna need a lot of liquid in order to run multiple refineries up here. What I need is greater cooling capacity. This right here is only like half of a steam turbine. You're right, one is missing. I'm still gonna make it more powerful. Did the plates stack? Well, you know what? There's a good chance that the plates might possibly stack. What are we at? 35.9 here. How hot is this? 33.5. So it's really not a huge difference in temperature there, so pretty close. But yeah, we might be able to place like, I don't know, 8 of them back there. Ooh, darn it. Let's go for another piece. I would like a Z right here, or something to allow me to have a little bit more space for more tanks and whatnot. I think that's backwards though. Now where am I gonna put this? Sure. I can work with that. All right, so we're off to a decent start here, keeping these metal refineries cool, although I need a little bit more cooling capacity. Changing this to a different gas would, I mean, obviously make maybe a slight difference, but we're using a thermal transfer plate right here. So the liquid that's running through the pipes is actually physically connected to the machine. So it's set up to kind of enable you to run this in a vacuum sort of thing. But right now we're just connecting them. And I think the temperature we see here between the water and that is only a 2-degree difference. So it's very, very close. What I'm going to do now is kind of increase the capacity that I have here. So if I can think of the correct arrangement here, I'm going to have a loop that's constantly cooling so that this doesn't get interrupted. But you know what? I think it's actually working all right now that I've actually seen it work. I just need to be able to cool it faster. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, so far we've managed to get the thermoelectric generators up and running. They are cooling the metal refinery. However, the metal refineries here are not running all that fast. I think we don't have quite enough cooling capacity. In case you guys are wondering, the actual cooling inside of here is being done by a mod called the thermal interface plate. We're using that in order to connect the liquid that's running around inside of the loops to the generators. So that's why I don't have any hydrogen here. And that's another step to go out, get some hydrogen, bring it back and whatnot, because we don't have any sort of, well, we don't have electrolyzers running in this base. And I'm actually trying to avoid it this time. So hydrogen is slightly more precious than it normally is when you have a lot of those running. So we'll see how that works. Right now I'm setting up 3 more of these in order to cool down the liquid a little bit faster. And then I might work on the sequencing as far as how this liquid is going to move through here and then find its way into the various refineries as we move through that. Obviously I'm going to automate this at one point, but for right now, we're just trying to get these up and running. Next up, we need to get this oil well up and running, so we got to get some power up there. That way we can start producing more petroleum and whatnot. All right, let's get some power up to this thing so that it can actually do anything. Let's grab some of this wire and make all sorts of mad spaghetti. Getting up there. We don't really have to worry about the wires. We're gonna redo the wires anyhow, right? Isn't that what we always do? Build them once, delete them 10 times. There we go. Get out of here. Deconstruct these buildings. We don't need that. Need a ladder to get up here and get rid of this stuff. Gross. More caffeine. All right. So inside of here, we're going to have a little bit of natural gas every time we... every time we run that well, we're gonna open the door. How do I keep the gas in? Maybe I just don't worry about it. Door from the bottom? No, that doesn't work. This thing's 4 wide. I'm like stuck. Or, oh, well, no. All right. Excuse me. This should be running back up here. What are you not doing? Oh. I snipped the wrong pipe. Sorry about that. Look at that iron. Hey, where'd you go, Tess? What, are you telling me you don't have oxygen down? No, you don't have oxygen down there. That makes it hard to be efficient if you can't breathe while you're doing your job. Sounds like my old job, actually. Literally used to work right next to a sewage plant. Let me tell you, even though you spend years next to it, every time that wind blows just right, you get a face full of it. This is Brothgar juice. It is my own special energy drink. Brothgar broth? You know what? If anybody wants to make some money, you call me up. That'll work. We'll make it in the bathtub. There was another streamer who was selling their own, what was that, bathwater? Yeah. Let's use the word streamer very loosely there. There will be no addition of Brothgar bathwater. Jeez. This isn't gonna go anywhere good if we keep going down this road. Oh, everybody's peeing on the floor again. These dupes. Come on now. Alright, do we have power up to this thing yet? No. What are you guys doing? Dupes? Come on now. I read that as Brothgar, you might need a duplicate toilet counter as well. I think you're right. I mean, what else are we really going to use all that advanced automation for? Besides getting an accurate count on which toilets get used the most. In my experience, it's always the closest and the furthest. Everything else in the middle is low use. And I've got statistics to prove it. Alright, you know what? What else could we use that automation for? I feel like we could possibly use that automation, control which toilet is available. That way you get even use of the toilets. Like imagine if you walked into a bathroom, right? And it automatically knew if the toilet paper was too low. So it locked the door or something like that. That's what AI is going to be used for. That's the future of toilets. You know what would help here to make this thing run a little bit faster is I do need that second tank, but that second tank needs to be connected to the input side of this. So right here, see how it's running in? I can load this up by a full tank's worth so that we can just have a lot of it on queue. Because you'll see that essentially once we fill this thing up and we run it a few times, then this whole loop is then going to start to warm up just a little bit. And that's when we start to have issues. So if I put a tank right over here to the left, I mean, this is a little bit of pipe spaghetti, but I think we're used to that. Take this, go back down over here, and then that goes up like that. Wow, look at that. Looks like we need more liquid. We weren't quite able to fill up all of these metal refineries. All of a sudden we have this is the most random oxygen system ever. We just went from like nowhere to 5 kilograms worth. What happened? Is it because it gets low enough all of a sudden and then it goes up? Like if I was to specifically try to keep this area low pressure, would it just keep running or what? Yes. It gets low enough, right? And then it starts to run. That's what I think that. What an interesting thing we've created. Right, so you think the bottle's over pressure right around at 1.5 to 1.7. Then at that point, since each one of these is many tons of water in a little bottle, it suddenly puts out a huge amount of oxygen. So what this means is I should close up this room and then hook up fans and then use the fans or pumps or whatever to do what I want with all the oxygen. Sounds like a good thing to try next episode. Just waiting on these dupes to finally power up the oil well. How's that wire doing? Oh, just like that. Boom. Good job, Fabio. We finally made it. Overheating. Let's see here. What's the output temperature of the crude oil? 90 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I do have gold amalgam now. We can get rid of this and turn it into gold amalgam. That should be fine. Hey, look at this. Now we got petroleum running. Yes! Finally, that's back up and doing its thing. We can make more plastic, which means we can make more wallpaper. All right, we're gonna flip this out for a gold amalgam pump, and that'll be it. We've got crude oil up and running now. That is now taking care of all of our liquid overflow issues that we have from all the different sources we're bringing in water from. So whatever we don't use for research, and whatever we have extra of, then turns into crude oil, which then gets converted into petroleum and gives us a lot of great byproducts here. Still working on the rest of our iron ore over here, so that'll happen here pretty soon, which means that'll give us a lot of power, and it will also produce a lot of refined metals so that we can get ourselves into the mid-game. All right, so this just in, the high-flow liquid reservoir and gas reservoir have been restored, or at least I had to manually install them. And that is fantastic news because I haven't really been able to figure out exactly how to make this thing work outside of actually using a high flow liquid reservoir. So that's exactly what I'm going to set up here before the end of the video so that I can show you that this thing does indeed actually work, and it should work pretty good. But again, it probably is only going to work because I'm using these mods. So let's get it set up. First thing I'm going to do is dump all the liquid from this tank into this tank, because that is going to work. I can kind of get rid of it. We'll get rid of that extra bit right there and drop this temperature. We'll actually just crank it up really high. There we go. I mean, to me, honestly, I'm just going to say this, like, the high flow liquid reservoir is one of probably the most transformative mods that I have used in this game thus far. It really opens up a lot, being able to run multiple streams of liquid through the same volume of tank, if that makes sense, without having to run many pumps. Because otherwise, everything else is just one big chain, and you always have to interrupt something in order to make something else flow. So this, it's like the difference between, you know, everything being single-threaded and multi-threaded. I'm not a programmer, but that's what I'm gonna use as my example. Yeah, baby, use all those 3 ports. All right, so just a little bit more, and we'll move all of that into here. Now, I do have some gas up here that's going to be releasing from the oil well, so that needs to go somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and place that right down here. That is going to be the high flow gas reservoir, because I'm pretty much just going to use that. That'll be natural gas. So how this is actually going to work up here is I'm going to run, you know, should I just run everything through a filter? I probably should just run everything through a filter. I'm gonna change my strategy here a little bit. I've noticed that this doesn't necessarily work quite as well as I would hope it to work. So I'm gonna get rid of some of that automation stuff here. We'll just put a pump up there. We'll put up a couple sensors to make sure that I turn it on when there's enough pressure around. And then we'll do the kind of the classic filtering. Ooh, you know what? If we do like a one pipe, any gas sort of thing in our system, that would be cool. I've never actually done that in anything except for experiment videos. So let's see what shape we're going to have over here, because that's going to be my gas storage area. Hey, that'll be good. Allows me a way to get in there. So boom, just like so. Just like that, and then that, and then we can do this number. Oops, I messed that up. The gas reservoirs are so wide. Look at that. Oh well, I'll have to figure out something else to use in here. Maybe I could do more powered storage. I tried to get the super big battery installed, but unfortunately that one didn't work. Ooh, Paku! I don't have a place for you, but I think we can empty out a bottle for you, so long as my game isn't broken. Oh, buddy! Something went horribly wrong. No! That's always a good sign when you see that. Mate, how come you're not super? So many things going on here. Okay, don't click on the blueprint thingy. Just keep rolling with it. We'll be all right. Just don't click the printing pod. Here we go. Liquid tanks. This one's been emptied. We can go ahead and deconstruct it. So we're gonna roll right down here. We're gonna find ourselves the high flow liquid reservoir. We're gonna put it right down here. We're also gonna do this for all of these gas tanks because yes, we do need gas tanks. We will go ahead and kind of create compressor tanks in order for the bulk storage, but there's still going to be stuff that we want to use and save up, like chlorine, and we got plenty of natural gas that we'll want to run and feed that into generators. If we have extra carbon dioxide, that's always useful, especially for farms and such. For the most part, just resist clicking on that. We really don't need to worry about a lot of things. So I think we need to go ahead and crank this up to a priority level 9, get that floor built up so you don't go down there to suffocate. I thought you deconstructed this. Fabio, no! No, Fabio! That is not a good spot to go catch your breath. So close. Deconstruct liquid pipes. We're gonna get rid of all of these. All of that. All of this. We don't need any of that. Same goes for just all of this. Boom. Deconstruct the buildings. Deconstruct the automation. All of it. Gone. And then, in its place, what we're going to do is we're just gonna take radiant pipes right down here, just like this. And then in between this, we're going to put insulated pipes because we're only worried about this being conductive right where the generator is. We can do the exact same thing here by just converting this to insulated stuff after that. So it'll come out of here, it'll go down, and we're just going to put this right into the tank. Well, I tell you what, we'll actually go straight down right here like that. So that pipe will run right over here like this. Boom. Look at me go. Thanks, bud. All right. So how this is actually going to work is that this loop here, all it does is cool constantly. That's its only job. Water that needs to be cooled flows out over here, then finds its way to all of the coolers, converts that into nice cold polluted water, and then cycles back into the tank. Not necessarily the most efficient layout right there, but get the idea. All that's going to do is just loop around and around and around. Now what I'm doing over here is I'm just going to check the temperature. So we're going to break this one tile right there. We don't need that one. And then using the liquid shutoff, we're going to put that right here. And then using a liquid pipe thermal sensor, we're going to put that right there. Then an automation signal between the two, and we'll tie all that together. So if the temperature that's running through here, that it is constantly doing, it's just going to keep running around over and over again, is cold enough, then it will exit out to the left and then go into the storage tank, which then ultimately feeds all of this. Now, the water that isn't cold enough here is just going to go right back on over here and into the tank. Hot water that needs to be cooled is just going to go into this area. We're going to jump it over this using a long bridge, just like so. And then that water is going to find its way into the tank. So we've got one loop here that is constantly checking the temperature, one loop that is constantly cooling the temperature, and then an inlet for the hot water that's coming back in. And that's how that system works. And doing that with multiple tanks and whatnot, so much more difficult. All right, so let me set the priority up real high for all of this so that I can get it up and running and you guys can see it working. Hey, there we go. I think the pipe is completed. Yes. All right, so here's the water flowing out. It's at 65.3 degrees, and it's going to flow through here. And as it's running through here, it should be heating up these generators, which unfortunately are not plugged in, so we got to connect those two. However, we can now see that is 64.1. So this is actually continuing to go down. Nice. If we take a look at the liquid inside the tank here, we can actually get a readout of that temperature. 50.2. Not the fastest thing. I mean, the liquid is traveling in at about 50 degrees Celsius, and by the time it comes on out, it's 48.8. So one thing that I see here is that this thing is not running liquid around to automatically detect. So I think what I got to do here is add a bridge. Oh, I guess it just wasn't connected. There we go. Now it's working. So that is telling me right now that it is 48 degrees. So if we just set this a little bit higher for right now, just at like 47, that'll be enough to run what I need to do right now. Then we should see that this thing will start to cycle back around. Wow. This over here is still not enough cooling capacity. Like, it isn't keeping up with the metal refinery at all. But that doesn't make that much sense. This only creates 67 kilojoules worth of heat. All right, so this is still taking a long time to cool the water down, which makes me think obviously I need more, but I want to kind of do the math just to figure out how far off I am. So this over here, the metal refinery, will produce 67.1 kilojoules. So that's enough to raise the temperature of the polluted water by 32.1 degrees Celsius. So if I'm using oxygen not included assistant here, starting temperature is going to be, what is it, 32.1? And then the target temperature is 0. The real question here is the mass. How much water moves through this? Okay, so it's 400 kilograms of polluted water per operation, which I think I already knew from somewhere way back. Basically, that means we have 89,000 DTUs, which if you take a look at these things, we should be able to cool that. Look at that, minus 128,000 dudes. All right, so all that there was able to run 300 kilograms of iron. So now it's got to cool down again. That was enough to bump the overall temperature of my entire tank up by 10 degrees Celsius. Oh, that's dudes per, that's per cycle, that's why. Boom! Okay, that's more like it. Total heat, 53 million dudes. Much better. So I currently have a total of 768,000 DTUs per second. So each time I run this, it's going to take me how many seconds to cool the water back down in order for it to get back up into the metal refinery? That's the question. The answer there, 76 seconds. per 100 kilograms of iron. And I believe the operation time by default looks like it's about 40 seconds. Yeah, see that right there, about 40 seconds. So really, I need to increase my cooling capacity. I almost need to double it if I want to make it operate at the point where it can just continuously operate. So that gives me a goal to shoot for here in the future. But I think there's some other things that I need to take care of that are a little bit more pressing, such as dealing with the natural gas that I have over here. I want to be able to contain that, filter that, and start to process all of that stuff. And a little bit of automation. I got some sweepers I want to build up here just to kind of handle the eggs so that we can get more and more food out of our critters. You can see that we've not been keeping up with the food. We're down to 47,000 calories, so I'm going to have to bump that up here pretty soon. But all that will have to happen here in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day, guys. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.